Welcome to the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Mitchell, founder and CEO of Moyo Institute and lifelong spiritual seeker and energy worker, here for thoughtful conversations about health, healing, and happiness by, for, and about Black and African American women. Disclaimer, the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast does not provide medical advice. The opinions, experiences, and insights shared are for informational purposes only. Nothing shared in this podcast is intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. Don't disregard or delay seeking it because of what you've heard on this podcast. Thank you. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness by, for, and about Black women. I'm Gwen Mitchell, your host. I'm happy to have with me today a very special and honored guest and friend, Dr. Ivy Shadiah Hylton. Welcome, Ivy.
Hello there, my Reiki master. Thank you so much. I'm welcome to be here. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm really excited to have you here. It's been such a long time. We've been knowing each other now. It's been over 30 years.
Been over 30 years.
And it's been a while since we've been in touch, but it's wonderful to reconnect.
Yes, it certainly is. And it's so beautiful to see you. I get to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want our listeners to really know what they're getting today is very, very special. I want them to know who you are. And so let me just start by sharing a little bit about your background. Ivy is the revered queen of vibration, founder of Sound Vibronics and the creator of the Vertex method, a multidimensional journey of consciousness through frequency, breath, and inner alignment. Dr. Shadiah is also the visionary behind sonic mind streaming meditation and the transformational diamond love activation. It's a healing practice that weaves guided meditation, breath work, sound, vibronics, and vibrational movement to awaken love, restore harmony, and elevate our divine frequency. And in this episode, we're going to be discovering or exploring how sound becomes sacred technology, how intention becomes vibration, and how we can all return to the still point, the diamond within. This is just one part of Ivy's background, and it's a very, very special part. She is a holistic integrative health practitioner, renowned for her expertise in contemplative healing practices and her commitment to wholeness and well-being. She is internationally recognized as a global sound healer and Reiki master, a national certified restorative justice trainer, mindfulness psychotherapist, certified reflexologist, certified hypnotherapist, licensed clinical social worker, ordained minister, recording artist, and concert soprano vocalist. And she's a visionary creator behind Sound Vibronics, the sonic stress reduction method system, and the sonic mind streaming emotional wellness methodology. In this process, she blends healing frequencies, affirmations, and intention through meditation, crystal alchemy singing bowls, and her angelic vocal tones. Her work introduces a powerful paradigm shift in psychological, emotional, and physiological healing. She calls it sound medicine for the 21st century. She's an esteemed member of Evolutionary Leaders, a global collective of thought leaders co-founded by Deepak Chopra and Diane Marie Williams. And she's also the host of Dr. Ivy's Sound Spa on Ian Levanzat's IVTV and facilitates monthly sonic immersive sessions at the Silver Spring Meditation Museum in Maryland. Shadiah hosts Elevate Weekly on Wednesdays for a midweek mind rest meditation. She's a prolific creator. She's produced 7 music CDs, an emotional wellness app, a downloadable sound bath, and authored 3 books. And throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, she hosted a live Facebook sound spa for healing and meditation. I actually tuned into that, by the way.
Mm,
And
that's
she's served as a soul therapist on the Brain Truth podcast. She's also the creator of the Vertex Method, a transformative healing model. Welcome, Dr. Ivy Shadiah Hylton, the
oh
queen, I'm telling you, the queen of vibration.
my God. Oh, that's the first time I heard that like publicly. No wonder why I'm so busy and why I need so much rest.
Exactly. Well, I read once that really our job here on the planet is to live out everything that's within us. And
Mm.
that is a definition of a fulfilled life. And I can see that you have been doing that in an extraordinary way.
Wow. I am so honored and truly the full circle of coming back to my beloved Gwen. I've always had you on my mind and heart, even though you're thousands of miles away. But the way that we stay connected spiritually feels like I just saw you yesterday.
Yes, exactly. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. So, in our early days, when we were both living in the DC area together, we attended Unity Church.
Yes. How
And
about
I think that's how we first met.
it might, I can't even remember how we first met.
But I do remember our Reiki class together.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going to West Virginia at your invitation to share Reiki on a retreat that you were holding there.
Yeah.
And that was a very precious experience as well.
It really was. And somehow I should have kept more notes about the Heaven House up in West Virginia. But I do know and remember the joy that we had, the fulfillment that we had, and just living out my soul purpose, like you said, a fulfilled life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. And that's really what's important. Details don't matter, but
Mhm.
really the feeling that we're left with, those beautiful experiences that we share, that's really what's important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's step into the frequency.
All right.
Tell me, what is sound vibronics? That's a term that's new to me. And how did your journey with this sacred sound technology begin?
So, well, let me first start with sound vibronics is a sacred sound technology that harmonizes the body, the mind, and the spirit through vibrational resonance. And how it came to me, I don't know. Do you know how you go into deep meditation and electromagnetic energies kept coming around me? And somebody said something to me one day, you're making me vibrate. And so the whole idea of vibronics came up. And so I started searching, studying it, and I realized that there was one organization out, I think in England. It was a music group, like a rap group or something. They call themselves Vibronics, but it wasn't anything called sound vibronics because I understood that as a psychotherapist, using sound frequency was going to be the way that I do my work. It really goes beyond traditional sound healing. It's a multi-dimensional language of frequency that awakens at the cellular memory. It restores our energetic balance and activates deep emotional spiritual healing with sound. And I started realizing that my journey with the sound vibronics began as a divine calling, one that emerged from both personal healing and ancestral remembrance. Because I used to sing the old Negro spirituals, and I understood that somehow using the resonance from those songs actually gave life to our ancestors. It actually gave them energy. And so as I navigated the complexities of life, love and trauma, even in my own life, I found myself guided towards the power of sound as medicine. Even when I gave birth to my son, I wanted to be a natural birth, way back in the day, 40 some years ago, that they didn't have everything that we have now, the young people have now. So back then it was like a weird kind of request. And then once I got into the delivery room and the contractions started really going, I said, can I change my mind? I don't want a natural birth anymore. I need something. It's too late. So then ultimately I prayed and God opened up my mouth and I started toning.
Mhm.
Oh. And every time I did that, I dilated. And the nurse said, keep it up. And I kept breathing and humming and toning. And then he popped right out before the doctor even arrived. And that's when I knew that there was some real power in sound, vibrational resonance, and intention. And as I began to hear those tones in my body through the silence, I could feel the vibration in my body and a sense of emotional and an energetic shift as I was using sound to bring my son into the world on the wings of vibration.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can I share a story with you?
Yes, please.
Several years ago, I had a dream once that I was holding my mom in my arms and she was a baby and I
Mm.
was rocking her. And at one point, she reached up and put her hand on my throat and it was like I was choking. Yeah.
Oh.
And so in the dream, I laid her on a table and I started intoning. And it was a high pitched tone. It just came out of me. And in fact, the tone also has come to me in waking state as well.
Mm.
Well, the tone caused her body to fully relax. And I was living in DC at the time, and my mom was in California. And a couple of days later, I found out that she had been ill. She had an infection that had crossed the blood-brain barrier, and they thought she was going to die, basically. And when I was alerted to this, I told my siblings, don't worry, mom's already been healed. It happened in a dream. And sure enough, within a day, she was totally fine.
Wow.
So that sound vibration that you're talking about, I really love the fact that you use that to bring your son into the world, that you actually understood on an intuitive level, a
Yeah.
deep level. This is
Mm.
something that lives within us that mostly we have forgotten, or many of us don't pay attention to, but that deep knowledge, that deep spiritual knowledge is always present.
It really is. And you said the word remembrance. I believe that my sole purpose has always been to create as many heaven on earth experiences for all of humanity that I possibly can. And so, however that looks, whatever comes up, it is something about the soul language of sound and frequency that the universe understands. We don't need words, we just need vibration and intention. And then with sound vibronics, it's really all about touching the brain waves of our DNA. And we can literally instruct the brain through vibrational frequencies on what to do and how to say it to the central nervous system that ultimately nurtures our entire being.
Mhm, mhm. And to be clear, the reason the dream showed her choking me is she was letting me know that she was choking. She
Mm.
was in trouble. She was in trouble, right? It was a call for help. And on that wave of connection, that wave of oneness, that wave of everything being a part of everything else, that message came through and that toning went through to her to relieve that distortion in her being, you know?
Yes.
So, yes, you're absolutely right. I
Huh.
mean,
Just Jesus said we had these skills, we had these gifts. We just have to use them.
exactly, exactly. You said that you use the sound vibronics in your therapy, in your
Yes.
work.
Yes.
So tell me how it's different from like traditional sound healing or music therapy. And like, how would you incorporate that into your work as a psychotherapist?
So I want to start with answering your first question around sound vibronics and how it's different. Because there's nothing new in the universe, as you already know. But how we interpret what comes to us is what makes it unique. And in this case, sound vibronics differs from the traditional sound healing in both its scope and its intention. I'm thinking while the traditional sound healing often focuses on relaxation, chakra balancing, and stress relief, using the instruments like singing crystal bowls, gongs, tuning forks, sound vibronics is a multi-dimensional system that integrates all of that sound, sacred geometry, breath, movement, aroma, intention, and brain wave entrainment. So, with sound vibronics, you're learning how to guide and direct the frequencies to do what needs to be done, to activate deep vibrational transformation at a cellular awakening level. So, it's more than just allowing the sound to flow in, up, around, over, and through. It is literally learning how to communicate with those frequencies, engage with those frequencies, and encourage them to do what needs to be done, whether it is through physical healing, emotional relief, or activating a manifestation in our feeling world.
Wow. I can feel the truth of that just resonating through my body. It's like all of this energy just dancing through
Yeah.
my cells as you talk about that. I love the fact that it is actually training the brain.
Yes.
Yes.
Training the brain. And is in most cases is retraining the brain. Because when you hear those, like you heard that sound, I was getting ready to ask you, why don't you give me that tone that you shared with your mother? Because then I might be able to see, okay, exactly where did that go? Because in sound vibronics and in sound healing, each note is connected to the chakras or the
Mm-hmm.
endocrine system in the body. So literally sound vibronics is about creating emotional wellness through aligning the endocrine system.
Wow. That's gorgeous. That's beautiful. Beautiful.
I'm happy I'm talking to somebody that knows what I'm saying, because when it comes to divine work, you start talking and it all of a sudden may not even make sense to me. But I'm like, okay, it does make sense because it's real. I go into research and I study. Okay, this just came to me. Is this real? And I'm like, oh, wow, that is real. So then I
Mm-hmm.
continue to develop it, and sound vibronics has been in my soul ever since I was a child. I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to call it. Sonic mind
Beautiful.
streaming is we're doing it constantly. But now what sonic mind streaming as a practice of sound vibronics is how we protect our emotional being, is how we protect our physical selves and our spiritual energy, because sonic mind streaming is literally absorbing intentional thought forms into the brain.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know if I could create the sound, but I do have sort of a cellular memory about it. And I know it was high pitched and it probably sounded something like this. I'm going to just take a deep breath and see if I can tap that memory.
Okay. So, I believe that's a B, and that's connected to the crown chakra. So somehow you were able to connect your mommy through your tone with a divine connection, direct divine connection. That's what
Wow.
it feels like. That's what it
Wow.
feels.
Mm. I
Yeah.
was just so, so grateful for the healing and also just the knowing that it was already done.
It was already done. And see, and
Already.
you had no doubt. You see, the only thing that'll kill the miracle is 1 ounce of doubt.
Mhm.
And see, with sound vibronics, we teach how to release doubt and embrace the emotion of your intention as if it has already happened.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And that's what you did. And you integrated it in the key of B. And the universe understood that.
Mhm.
That's deep.
Beautiful.
You sing in church, sometimes when people are singing and they say, oh, it's so flat, and they singing in the choir and they so happy that they're there. But I tell you what, when the choir is singing flat, it goes flat into the soul. And it's not as direct and
Mhm.
it's not as clear. And so I'm one of these people who believes even in church, the sound frequencies need to come correct in order for the divine to really be present.
You're bringing up another memory for me growing up in Oakland, singing in what started out as the Northern California State Youth Choir that
Mm.
eventually became the Edwin Hawkins Singers, and
Ooh,
having recorded Oh Happy Day.
yes.
And we went around, literally, that record became platinum in large measure. We fasted and prayed for 3 days before we recorded
Wow.
that song. And
Wow.
then after it was recorded, we went door to door selling the album in the Black community. And
Isn't that
so, yes,
what a blessing? What a blessing. I did not know that.
absolutely a blessing. Yeah, one of those things, how the universe has just opened up different pathways.
Yes.
So I love that you went really deeply into explaining how sound vibronics differ from traditional sound healing and music therapy. It's really at the cellular level.
This is
And that's what's really important, I think. Yeah.
I think it is. And see, and at one point when I first started doing sound vibronic work, I was a part of a research project at NIH on using sound healing for cancer treatment. And what came out of that was that cancerous cells cannot stand certain levels of vibration. And this is why, at a place out in Mexico, actually called Sanoviv, they're doing non invasive treatment for cancer using these concepts.
Beautiful.
And so people who are on chemotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
they can't do it while they're there. They can't even come there if they're getting chemotherapy. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
that energy or those frequencies in that facility. So they really understand that the frequency is a literal entity.
Wow. And they're having good results.
Oh, I met this man. I was there for myself, reversing something that doctors in the US said that was real. And by the time I left there in less than 7 days, my blood was different. Whatever it was that they did, and I did not have that disease, but I could have had I started that medication.
Absolutely.
So you have to figure out how to do that contemplative care. How do you make a good balance between the two? And I met a family where a young man had his wife there. And he said he brought his wife there because his mother 30 years ago had been not at this particular facility, but the doctor that founded that facility was her doctor.
Beautiful.
He used those techniques, and they told her she had like 3 months to live. And when I met her son, it had been 30 years.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to make sure that we get the information about that into the show notes so that people who want to follow up can also access that service.
Awesome. And it's sanovive.com. That's it. That's what it is. And it's spelled just like it sounds. So I'll make sure that you get it because
You're,
they're doing amazing work. They're using sound healing. They're doing everything, all these things we know, Reiki. The first doctor that I saw was a chiropractor. And when he touched me, I just started pouring down crying, releasing. He said, so this is the beginning. It's just the time to let go.
beautiful.
And he didn't say a word. He just touched my chest.
I'm so happy that we have all of these beautiful alternatives available. And part of what we do in the Love Letters workshop, and the reason the workshop was created, both my mom and my sister, my eldest sister, died from cancer-related complications. And I want to make sure that as many women as possible know about alternatives that are available. And so we do share information about acupuncture, about Reiki, about using mantras and mudras and breath work to really help support a person on the healing journey.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's what we need. It's what we need, and especially during these times.
You created a sonic mind streaming meditation and the diamond love activation. I love that. Diamond and love in the same sentence. Diamond love activation. How do these practices express the deeper purpose of your sound vibronics work?
Let me start with the whole idea of diamond love. I want to start with diamond love, and then I'll come back to sonic mind streaming because diamond love connects me with my son. And his saying is diamond life. He's living a diamond life. And we did a song together called Trapped. And now I can say I'm a hip hop artist as well. It might be one of the first and few and maybe last, but it was a lot of fun doing it. But he talks about living a diamond life. And I'm singing background. And at the end, I just called it diamond love because that is what I have for my son. And so, yes, I created sonic mind streaming meditation and the diamond love activation as a signature expression of sound vibronics work. These practices are not just methodologies for me, they're portals into emotional liberation. As a psychotherapist, I thought that was important because sometimes I would have patients or clients coming to me, and then 5 years later, we're still talking about the same thing. And that's when I integrated the sound. And that's when the stories started to shift. And that's when I began to realize something chemical, spiritual is happening at the cellular level when we integrate these frequencies. It helps us to reflect deeper on sound and how it affects our bodies. Even as a child, they sing to us and hum to us. So as children, we start humming and we sing to our children. When we get into class, they help us to say, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's the chakra, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the musical scale. So we kind of get introduced to it early in life, but they don't always tell us exactly what does that really mean. And maybe they just didn't know. But there are ways of using that sound, using sonic mind streaming to teach the brain a new reality. So sonic mind streaming meditation is a multi-dimensional journey. When we start doing sonic mind streaming, you go into the depths of your inner mind. It exposes that dimension, that fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth dimension that we can activate just through our thoughts and our intention. It's about training people to live vibrationally. The river of consciousness beneath thought comes through, and it goes into the mind, into the brain, into the body, into the system. And we can literally create new neural pathways with sonic mind streaming. By creating new neural pathways, we're able to replace those negative thoughts with a thought that is more empowering. Even if we have to create a shift like we do if you're driving a stick shift, you want to shift up, shift down. You can literally do that with an intention. And I call it sonic mind streaming. And together, these practices show that sound vibronics is not just about relaxation. It's about activation, restoration, and ascension. It's a technology of remembrance. And when you put yourself in the space of sound vibronics and sonic mind streaming, you go into a new reality.
I love what you said. The river of consciousness beneath the mind, where everything is basically. And, we do know that synapses that fire together, wire together, so when people are in these thought patterns that are negative, they tend to reinforce that they reinforce each other, these thoughts basically. And so having a tool, having a process, it's very much like the work that we do in my spiritual community, where mystical brain surgeries take place to go right into that layer in the subconscious mind to rewire the brain, so that these parietal lobes get quieted down and the prefrontal cortex becomes more activated, where we make the right kind of decisions, where we feel our connection with spirit.
With sound vibronics, we are literally reshaping our emotional landscape.
Beautiful.
I would say that sound is the carrier, thought is the program, and emotion is the fuel. And when you put those three together, it creates instant manifest.
I love that. Thank you for that. I think that really makes it really clear where people can get a handle on it, to understand it, to comprehend it. Like a lot of times when we're talking about deep spiritual work, we're operating on a level of knowing that is cellular and is multidimensional. And maybe the words escape some folks, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I love the fact that you're bringing it down to a formula that people can understand and be able to look at and say, okay, like what's happening here for me,
Right.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. It's the saying that you are what you think, you are what you eat. It's the very same kind of thing. And my first test of this was when I was 17 years old, trying to get rid of tension from being in college. And I read something about you can change your life or something, and you can change your relaxation. And it's all about constantly communicating with your body. The body can be communicated with on various levels. And so, I'm excited about this. It's the new medicine for the 21st century. Sound, frequency, and vibration.
The Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast is sponsored by Moyo Institute Incorporated, a nonprofit organization offering heart-centered educational experiences, and the Lloyd Symington Foundation, which supports visionary grassroots cancer programs. Love letters to our bodies. Love letters to our bodies. In that workshop, for instance, I was explaining to a group that the title is really a misnomer in a way. It's just something to sort of capture attention, because the workshop is so much more than writing a love letter. But it really starts this process that you're talking about of communicating with the body, of really taking a look at what is the body telling me? Like, what kind of traumas are stored there? What happened? And then what support did you get? Did you get support? How did you internalize that? And Are you still carrying around feelings of grief or shame or guilt? All of that is what makes up the state that we're in physically. And so we want to be bringing in light, which is data, info, which can shift that so that all of this can move through the body, move out through the body. We can open up our understanding and have a new perspective about things that have happened. And in doing so, we can forgive ourselves for the ways that we've not treated the body well. We can express love to the body. And all of that is what's involved in these Love Letters to Our Bodies workshops.
I think it is so powerful. And I realized even as a child, I wasn't raised to tell my truth. And it spilled into my adult life. And I would accept things that I didn't want to accept. But I would keep moving and keep going. I would hear things and not say what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But now I know,
stuck energy.
Stuck energy.
Stuck energy.
So now my focus is on mind streaming the release of this stagnant energy in my throat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it will be an intentional process, just like losing something. I have, for those that will not be able to see this, I think maybe you might take a picture perhaps. Hold on. So this is my baby, but she broke just before I was to do a research project with NIH and Silicon Valley, and they were doing research on radio waves and how they communicate with the angels. And they asked me, do you want to sing with the angels? And I said, absolutely. And it was all on Zoom. So just before it was time for my part of the research, the heart broke. I had to buy another instrument, which is called a quartzophone. And that's the one that needed to be used for the research. And so, there are always no mistakes in the universe. The quartzophone, it made me think about E.T., using those tones to call home.
Amazing. So it's a beautiful instrument. And you gave us 2 or 3 little notes on it. Do you want to give us 2 or 3 more?
Oh, well, let me play the quartzophone.
Okay.
Which is in the key of F. But it was real because when I got to singing and with playing this is the quartzophone. Another voice came in with me. And it was like, it scared me a little bit. And so I stopped. I wish I didn't, but I did. Singing with the angels. And even the researchers, they were like, Dr. Ivy, what is that? Is someone singing with you? I'm like, isn't that what we're trying to do? We're trying to get the angels to sing. There's nobody else in here to sing with me. This is it.
That's incredible. You were really singing with the angels.
Isn't that something? It's amazing how the frequencies go through electronically. And so I'm able to do these one-on-one sessions right here. And people from all over the world come, and I just take them into the sonic mind streaming experience with sound vibronics. Change your life forever. It was such a powerful experience. They can feel the vibration right through the virtual experience.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow.
I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, me too. Tell me, Ivy, can you share a moment or story of transformation that you've witnessed through this work, either personally or with someone you've guided?
Oh, I love this question. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I already talked a little bit about, and I didn't even say Brother Ah is the one who really inspired me, as a young woman giving birth to a newborn. That's the reason that I did so much moaning and toning because I was learning it from him. But for many, many years in Washington, D.C., every Friday night, I would do the Friday night crystal bowl meditation. I don't know if you remember that. But we would go to different locations around the city, and Gloria, the magnificent one, that's what we called her, would always be there. And she would always be calling me and always be asking me, are you going to do it? Are you going to be there? And then after about 6 or 7 years, I just kind of got tired and didn't have anyone else to do it for me. So I took a break. She said, oh, it's saving my life. You can't stop, Ivy. You're going to have to do something. And this is way before I was doing recordings and things like that. And so I did not understand how she was using the frequencies to sustain her true health. And one day she called me and said she was in the hospital and could I come by and bring the bowls? And I said, sure. But that evening I was so tired, I said, oh, I'll go tomorrow. And when I went the next day, she had become an ancestor.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
missed her.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the moment when I knew that I didn't understand the depth of the healing work that I was doing in the community. Somehow she never understood how to explain it to me or didn't think she could or whatever, but she would come every week and get an infusion,
I love that.
a sonic infusion.
A sonic infusion.
Ooh, I just made that up.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
But what I didn't know, it was literally rejuvenating her cells.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew it, but she didn't tell me
Mm-hmm.
until that day she called. And I was just, you know how you're just so exhausted, you can't do one more thing?
Yes.
That's what happened. But just the call itself. That's one story. And there's another one that stays with me. A woman who came to a Diamond Love activation circle during a time of deep emotional pain. And she had just come through a turbulent relationship. And she carried years and years and years and years of unspoken grief. And I could really relate to that. Because I do think that's what's happening with my throat. I'm giving myself permission to be sad enough to release the grief. But she came through this turbulent time in the relationship, and she had never allowed herself to fully heal, never allowed herself to really acknowledge the grief. And not to mention, she was never aware that she could literally release it from her body. And during the session, we use heart frequency crystal bowls, vocal toning, and a guided breath practice to open her emotional body. Now, this is something you can do for yourself, but it is so much more effective when you have someone that can do it for you. This is why I do the recordings, Gwen, so that people can take them home and use them, because everybody can't always come for therapy sessions. And as the sound deepened in this session, I invited her to place her hands on her heart and speak the words, I remember who I am. That was the sonic mind stream that I encouraged her to create. And at first, she couldn't say it. Her voice cracked. She started to cry. I know that's tears. Remember, the man just touched my chest and I blew like a big old crybaby. But it was so wonderful and so relieving. So I knew this is what was happening for her. And at first, she couldn't say it, but then she started, and the frequency held her up, and she was able to do it. And I invited her to go deeper. And the vibrational experience that she was able to create in her own body within her, it broke open. And it wasn't in pain, but it was in release. It was in relieving And she was started singing with the crystal bowls, and she began to sob some more. But the sobbing is what we need. We need to release those tears. And she had held on to those tears for so many years. And from that moment on, she began to sing again and again and again. And something she hadn't done in years. And she went on into a deep, deep level of relaxation. And she was able to reprogram her thoughts. And this is the power of this work. And it doesn't just soothe, it remembers, it helps to recall. Remember, we were talking about we have to remember and recall this. All of us have this capacity. It helps us to come back to wholeness. And for me, that is the most sacred miracle of all, is for us to be able to come back to ourselves and trust.
Beautiful, beautiful. I like the notion or the understanding that when the tears are flowing, there's actually an emptying process taking place.
Yes.
And that what we're really doing is we're making space for more light to enter.
Yes.
And that is really incredible to be able to facilitate that and to have tools where people can use them and help themselves as well.
Yeah. And the tool is free because you can do it for yourself. All you have to do is make a choice and decide and create an intention. Put yourself in the frequencies. You can get them off of YouTube. You can get them from me, but wherever you get them, just practice it as if you were brushing your teeth or washing your face or combing your hair. It becomes a daily practice in your life.
I love that invitation. I remember who I am. I remember who I am.
Yes.
That is so powerful because that is at the core of the challenges and problems that we have in humanity, the forgetting who we are as innate divine beings, master creators who have the potential within us and the capacity to shift and transform things so that we have a full and vibrant life, to remember it. I remember who I am.
I remember who I am. That spark of light, that beam of love. I am that I am.
I am that I am. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my goodness, Ivy. I want to stop for a minute and just share a little tiny bit of one of these beautiful audio files that you have available to people. And I want our listeners to hear. They've heard the tones of the harps, but I just want to share a few minutes. So I invite everyone who's listening, especially if you're not driving,
If you're driving, just be aware and be mindful.
Exactly. So I want to invite you to stop for a minute, take a deep breath, sit with your feet flat on the floor, your spine erect, as we move into a few minutes of this beautiful sister's gifts that she's sharing with humanity.
Of
Let that sink in for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I am light.
I am light.
It's incredible, the remembrance that happens and this activated by
Yes.
these vibrations, by these frequencies.
Yes.
Ivy, tell us, what is your vision for the future of sound vibronics and the sonic mind streaming in wellness, education, and restorative spaces for women to heal?
My vision for the future of sound vibronics and sonic mind streaming is rooted in a global awakening, Gwen, where sound no longer is seen as an alternative therapy, but as a primary language of healing, education, and emotional intelligence. I want this word sound vibronics to be on everybody's tongue when they think about finding peace, when they think about grounding, when they think about healing. I want them to think about sound as a way of healing, especially for women and those holding generational trauma. In wellness, I envision sound vibronics becoming a core practice in trauma-informed care, care for supporting the nervous system and regulation, for womb healing. You know, when I'm thinking about my own womb that got help when I was giving birth to my one and only son. But more importantly, I'm very focused on the emotional restoration, especially during these times, because we don't really know what direction our country is going in. I mean, we feel and know that God is in control, but we also know that it is time for a major shift. And in that shift, you have to go through the darkness in order to find the light. And I say that women will use this technology not only to release pain, but to activate our voices. Our voices, and I think that's important because even with myself and my own voice and the level, and nobody would ever believe that I would hold back. If you knew me, you would never think that I would be stuffing into my throat trauma or anxiety or fear that actually goes there. But in wellness, we have to find our voice and reclaim our pleasure and live in resonance with who we are, who our true vibration is. What is my true vibration, and can I be true to it? Because a lot of times we will sacrifice what is true for us in order for someone else's truth to emerge. And I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying don't do it if it's going to impact your wellness and your health. And clearing up that energetic debris and aligning with our intention is what's going to be our saving grace during this period of time. I say it's kind of like a special moment because I'm feeling like what my great grandparents must have felt like when they said it was no more slavery and the country shifted. And we're kind of like in something like that now. And this is why I see sound vibronics and sonic mind streaming emerging to the top of the list of ways to restore ourselves. And in our communities, I keep on thinking about restorative justice because that's what we've got to do, is to restore a justness in our lives. And sound vibronics creates that safe, sacred space where women, especially Black women or women of color, Indigenous women, can come together to grieve, to release, to remember, and rise together. And in our circles that we do, our diamond love circles, we use it as a portal of remembrance. A portal of remembrance, and helping us to reconnect to our ancestral wisdom, because that is going to be the key. And if you don't know who your ancestors are, it's time to start focusing on that. And so ultimately, my vision is about vibrational resonance, where women lead the way as healers, as frequency keepers, and sonic architects of the new earth. That's what's happening. A new earth is emerging. And for those of us that can remember who we are, it is our job right now to stand and speak. And sound vibronics and sonic mind streaming are the sacred tools that will carry us there.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that vision and I love that understanding and recognition of the fact that there is something that can help right now, basically.
Yeah.
This period when you talk about it must have been how your grandparents felt. I was thinking when you said that, except only in reverse,
Yeah.
at the end of slavery, but like only in reverse, right?
Right, right, because here we are.
Yeah, kind of like full circle in a way.
In a way.
And I want you're absolutely right. We don't know what the future holds, but we know that it will call forth for us to come into our full power as spiritual beings. The analogy that I like to share is think about the tension when you draw a rubber band back. Like we've been drawn back into the darkness, like we have like this rubber band, like a slingshot, right?
Mm-hmm,
And that
mm-hmm.
when this gets taut enough, we will spring forward and bypass where we are now. And
Yes.
that is the birth of the real golden age, not the one that's being referred to in political commentary.
Right,
But
right, right.
the
That's true.
awakening of humanity to who we are, the ascension of humanity. And I heard someone say that part of this awakening is awakening to really an understanding of these bodies, like
Mm-hmm.
how they work, what they are, what their connection is with spirit, and how consciousness is using them in many, many different ways. And so
Mm.
I just am really reminding myself on a daily basis that whatever this looks like not to get caught up in the fear, to remember that there is a divine unfolding happening and that even though it may not seem so, all is well.
All is well. And it is an awakening. And
Mm.
right now, for me, bringing the concept of sound vibronics into the world to awaken the creator that is within us, to awaken that God presence that is within us, that using the sacred technologies of sound and thought and emotion to restore harmony, not only in our own lives, but even when you learn how to use tone to shift the atmosphere, to shift relationships, understanding exactly how to do that is how we will elevate the collective frequency of all humanity. And I know that's a lot, but we can do it.
Absolutely, we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the tools that's available to us. And what's exciting about this period is that we're being given so many gifts. We're being given so much knowledge, so much inner guidance to tap into these various resources that are available to help humanity. So, Dr. Ivy, I want to thank you so much for being with me today in this conversation. It's been so rich, and I feel blessed by our sharing. And really, I'm so happy to know much more about what you are offering in the world. And I will do what I can to help get the word out about that because I think it's so, so important.
Yes, yes, yes.
So as the frequency settles and the silence returns, we're reminded that healing is not something we chase, it's something we tune into. Through sound vibronics, through sonic mind streaming, through the diamond love within us all. Dr. Shadiah has shown us that sound is not just heard, it's felt, embodied, remembered. So may we all leave this space vibrating a little higher, breathing a little deeper, and loving a little louder, because the journey back to wholeness is always just one vibration away. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, my beloved teacher and friend.
You're so welcome. And we'll put all the information about how people can contact you and be able to take advantage of the various offerings and products that you have, those tools from other realms. We'll put that in the show notes so everybody can find you. So thank you
All right.
again.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful.
Beautiful. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness. To find out more about the Love Letters to Our Bodies project, visit our website at moyoinstitute.org. That's MOYO Institute.org. Follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If there are topics you'd like for us to discuss, let us know. Remember, your body is beautiful, girlfriend. Love it.